Consider this book a time machine. Most of it takes place in the 1980s and 90s. It was a time when people still sent postcards, called each other on the house phone, read newspapers, and moved around without anyone really tracking who was doing what, with who, and where they were doing it. So without a lot of hard documentation, much of what happens here relies on memories of a long ago time. Fortunately, most of the witnesses are reliable. At its heart, it is a crime story, unlike any other you might have read, or even thought could be possible. This book is filled with the ingredients that make up all great drama: lies, lust, and love. Even before it was officially a murder case, the circumstances were so fantastic that some of the characters found themselves dramatized in a 2010 Hallmark Channel film that contained all the kitschy tropes that were a staple of the Oprah or Phil Donahue shows of the mid-'80s. San Marino, California plays a key role here. It is a truly unique community, just a few miles from downtown Los Angeles. Its homes are stately. Some of its residents are powerful titans of commerce, industry, and politics. Others are old money Nepo babies. There's an element of nouveau riche too, but it is well disguised. The community is built around a great and beautiful park that is mostly inaccessible to non-residents. However, it is also home to the beautiful and very accessible Huntington Library and its stunningly peaceful grounds. Great works of art can be found here, as can the collected works of scholars who define the mores and codes of Western civilization. It is a decidedly patrician collection, but one that is very democratic, too, and wonderfully accessible. Behind its gates and walls, San Marino stands largely apart from its neighboring communities in eastern Los Angeles County. Murder is not something that happens here often, and when it does, someone will be in custody before the evening news airs. Hallmark stayed away from nearly any mention of murder in their version of this story. Perhaps because here it is gruesome and real and comes in the form of what one criminalist described as trisection, possibly done with a borrowed chainsaw. When discovered, the dead man's body, still clothed, had been cut into 3 neat sections. The head, torso, and legs were all packaged in plastic and separated in the grave. I'll let you visualize that for a second before we go on. Although much of the entire skeleton was initially examined by officials in the LA County Department of Medical Examiner-Coroner in 1994, only bits of the skull remained when the suspected killer was arrested decades later. There's a bit of whimsy and fantasy buried here, too. One of the central characters was deeply into science fiction of the Star Trek variety. He even owned a model communicator in the days before flip phones were anything other than sci-fi. Another leaned toward fantasy. Hobbits, elves, centaurs, and horses were her thing. A proto-furry, perhaps.